Well, I hope this video finds you well, that you've been having a good Holy Week. This is Holy Week, the highest, holiest week of the whole Christian year. And today is Maundy Thursday, or Holy Thursday as some call it. I'm glad you turned in for this brief devotion. I promise I won't talk long because, well, Holy Thursday is actually not meant for a sermon. It's really meant for remembering and experiencing the Lord's Supper. Now, traditionally, Holy Thursday is meant for not just the sermon, not really a sermon per se, but the real tangible experience of foot washing and receiving the bread and the wine of the Lord's communion. However, well, with the coronavirus going on and the social distancing regulations that we need to follow for the good of our neighbor, we unfortunately can't do Holy Week the same way we always have. And so we're not able to gather at the table the way we normally would. We're not able to observe the Lord's Supper by participating in it. So what do we do? And I've decided to give you this little devotion, and I hope that it finds you well on this Holy Thursday. And I invite you to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. for Good Friday service. We'll have another Good Friday devotion with a couple of songs and some good scripture reading. We'll be blacking out the sanctuary. So I invite you to join us live on Facebook, 7 p.m. for Good Friday. I also hope, more than anything, that we soon get to be together, that we get to partake together in the Lord's Supper, even if we have to spread around the sanctuary or receive communion from inside the safety of our own vehicles, as we did last Sunday and as we'll do again on Easter Sunday. And when this pandemic is over, I believe we will have a great party. It'll be wonderful just to see each other again, because I know we all miss each other. We all miss our church families, for God has called us together to be His people and has knitted us together as this family of God. And it's tough when we're apart. So tonight, though, I just wanted to focus on this scripture lesson for Holy Thursday. It's the scripture where Jesus is having his last meal with his disciples just before he goes to the cross. And during this last meal, Jesus shows us something breathtakingly profound. Around the dinner table, a great mystery is enacted when Jesus gathers with his 12 closest friends, who are also some of his worst betrayers. And he gathers with them as if for a final lesson of what is most important, of what he most wants his followers to know. And it's at that special banquet that he says to him, "Here, have some bread, take some wine." And then he takes a basin, according to the Gospel of John, a basin and a towel, and he even stoops down and begins washing the disciples' feet. He demonstrates by his actions what it is he wants to teach them on this night. Even if they don't understand it, he's teaching through actions, through a meal with bread and wine. And you know how sometimes we say to people, "Don't tell me, show me"? Well, that is what we get at the Last Supper. Here in Jesus, here is a truth that must be enacted. It's a truth that can't be grasped with mere disembodied words. It needs to be experienced and demonstrated and lived out in our lives. It's a truth that can be grasped only by letting it change the way we live, letting it change the way we love others. It's a truth grasped only by letting the one who is the truth grasp hold of us. For he is the way, the truth, and the life. And he asks for enacted faith. He's the one who said to his disciples, "Follow me." He asks for discipleship, for faith lived out. And then it's fitting, therefore, that when he comes to the end, when he comes to that final evening before his death, he says, in effect, this is what it was all about. This is what I'm all about. This is what it all means. And he gets down and takes on the role of a servant and washes their feet. And when the supper had ended, he says he took some bread and said, "This is my body. This wine, this is my blood poured out for you." At the Lord's table, there is a mystery that's enacted. And it's a thick mystery. A mystery of how in the world can Jesus choose to spend his last hours before going to the cross with friends who are also his worst betrayers? How can he stoop down and wash the feet of the very people who will forsake him, who will run away, who will deny 3 times that they even know him? In other words, how can he go to suffer for sinners like you and me? This Holy Thursday is a great mystery. When he washes his disciples' feet, when he says to us, here, take this bread, take this wine. It's not his typical lecture. It's not a typical parable or Jesus teaching in a normal way. He's teaching instead by his actions. He's enacting a truth that is at the very heart of our faith. He's teaching us something so essential, a truth so deep that we name at Advent as Emmanuel, a truth so deep of God with us. God with us in little things like bread and wine. God with us in all of our present difficulties, even now in quarantine, in a slowing economy, and all of the stresses and the things that pile on and that we encounter in this life. God is with us all the way, even to death on a cross. And even when we can't meet together, this word, this promise of Jesus remains true. The truth of Jesus Christ hasn't changed. And though we are worshiping differently, the mission of the church hasn't changed. And it's in the power of the Spirit that Christ has washed our feet and our lives, and he turns us towards our neighbors and commissions us to do the same, to put down ourselves, to take on the role of the servant, to serve one another. And as we go through the remainder of Holy Week, and the cross that will be proclaimed tomorrow on Good Friday, and in the resurrection proclaimed on Sunday morning, even though we're physically apart, we still get to share a life together through the body and blood of Christ. And we remain Easter people, for it's the truth of God, the truth of a risen Lord that holds us together. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of Holy Week. I hope to see you all again soon, and God bless you.